It's one thing to talk to Jesus. It's another thing when Jesus talks to you.
Exactly. Okay, well, that's different. That's different.
That's called mental illness, if I'm not correct. My question is, can he talk to Mary Magdalene without his wife in the room?
It's another thing when Jesus talks to you. That's called mental illness. That was Joy Behar yesterday on The View. They were responding to a clip from Omarosa where she was talking about her time at the White House, and she said that Mike Pence said Jesus tells him to say things.
Well, who is she to judge how often our vice president should speak to his Lord and Savior? Who is she to mock anyone for their faith? These people are really, really amazing to me because they preach day in and day out about tolerance and love for everyone. Right. Except conservative Christians. And then they can mock you and it's funny and you're something that they can use for their jokes around the table and they can all cackle about it. It's really disgusting, not surprising, but disgusting.
If you want Joy Behar to be quiet, just say that maybe someone is speaking to Allah and Allah talks back. She would not be mocking that.
No, of course not. And that's exactly the thing with these ladies, is that in the next segment, they'll probably talk about how horrible our president and our vice president is. But in the segment prior to that, they mock Christians. Again, they live in a world where men can be women, women can be men. But if you're a conservative Christian, you have a mental illness. There's something wrong with the women at that table.
Now, as far as Cruz's mental state, sources have told us he was in therapy at one point. Family friends have told us he did take medication at one point. But by all accounts, when his mother died, George, he went into a free fall of darkness. Authorities describing the mind of alleged shooter Nicholas Cruz as warped and possibly demented. Law enforcement sources tell ABC News the 19-year-old gunman told investigators he heard voices in his head directing him to conduct the attack. And according to the arrest affidavit, Cruz allegedly confessed to the killings after being taken into custody.
It's precisely because there is an absence of meaning in this event. It's precisely because a guy kills 17 people for no reason whatsoever. Right. They did nothing to him. That suggests what you said at the top of the show, that the reasons for it are deeper, more complex, and it behooves us, in memory of the dead, to actually talk and think seriously about it.
I agree with that. It's a very deep observation, though, about the hollowness at the core of these things.
And in Everett, Washington, another possible attack may have been foiled.
He's required to have restraints on him at all times.
Joshua O'Connor may have been the next school gunman, but then his grandmother called 911.
I'm finding journal entries from my grandson, and he's planning to have a mass shooting at one of the high schools.
Kathy O'Connor called police to her home in Everett, Washington when she discovered this in her grandson's journal. I'm preparing myself for a school shooting. I can't wait. My aim has gotten much more accurate. Where he was a student. I need to get the biggest fatality number I possibly can, he wrote. And that O'Connor wrote in his journal about how powerful he felt.
It was hard to believe that an individual would have this type of power.
Perhaps the biggest question, why is this happening more frequently?
Well, it's been an understandably tense day at other South Florida schools. In Davie, an 11-year-old girl under arrest tonight. Davie police showing us the letter investigators say she wrote, threatening to kill students and teachers tomorrow. Police say cameras captured her putting the letter under the assistant principal's door.
As a sign of the times, more schools now prepare their students for gun violence. 2/3 of school districts report conducting active shooter drills, even though only 19 states require them. Researchers say school shootings are happening at a rate of 1 a week. Some are accidental or suicide, where the only victim was the shooter.
I think that the issue of school shootings, the issue of mass shootings, is such a complex issue. But the fact of the matter is, we are the only developed nation that is not currently a war zone. That is currently a war zone.
These completely empty purposeless events where a guy just kills a bunch of school kids for no reason at all. And in that vacuum, where we search for meaning, people pour their lamest, dreariest tropes. And so to blame it on the NRA is the default position of most celebrities and most Democrats, and that's what they do.
Let's talk a little bit about one high school. Tommy, they wanted to ban the national anthem from pep rallies because they say that the third verse of the Star Spangled Banner is racist.
Well, again, I hope that Colin Kaepernick and his friends are mighty proud of themselves because they created this trend and it continues onward. And now it's touched high schools, it's touched elementary schools, it's touched sports teams, it's touched every corner of this nation. And it's really sad. Since when did the national anthem become a partisan thing? Since when did it become a racist thing? This is something that all Americans used to stand for, put their hands over their hearts, and believe in. This was something that as Americans united us. And once again, we've got certain individuals in this country that have made it mainstream to disrespect the country, disrespect the flag, disrespect the anthem. And again, I don't think that these children at a young age, I don't think that they understand the ramifications of that. I don't think they understand how it feels to be a veteran or a police officer or someone that flag means so much to. I don't think they understand the disrespect. And that's what's really sad about it, is they're doing it and they don't understand what it really means to others.
If I were the devil, if I were the devil, if I were the prince of darkness, I'd want to engulf the whole world in darkness, and I'd have a third of its real estate and 4/5 of its population, but I wouldn't be happy until I had seized the ripest apple on the tree, thee. So I'd set about, however necessary, to take over the United States. I'd subvert the churches first. I'd begin with a campaign of whispers. With the wisdom of a serpent, I would whisper to you as I whispered to Eve, do as you please. To the young, I would whisper that the Bible is a myth. I would convince them that man created God instead of the other way around. I would confide that what's bad is good and what's good is square. And the old I would teach to pray after me, Our Father, which art in Washington. And then I'd get organized. I'd educate authors in how to make lurid literature exciting so that anything else would appear dull and uninteresting. I'd threaten TV with dirtier movies and vice versa. I'd peddle narcotics to whom I could. I'd sell alcohol to ladies and gentlemen of distinction. I'd tranquilize the rest with pills. If I were the devil, I'd soon have families at war with themselves, churches at war with themselves, and nations at war with themselves, until each in its turn was consumed. And with promises of higher ratings, I'd have mesmerizing media fanning the flames. If I were the devil, I would encourage schools to refine young intellects, but neglect to discipline emotions. Just let those run wild. Until before you knew it, you'd have to have drug-sniffing dogs and metal detectors at every schoolhouse door. Within a decade, I'd have prisons overflowing. I'd have judges promoting pornography. Soon I could evict God from the courthouse, then from the schoolhouse, and then from the houses of Congress. And in his own churches, I would substitute psychology for religion and deify science. I would lure priests and pastors into misusing boys and girls and church money. If I were the devil, I'd make the symbol of Easter an egg and the symbol of Christmas a bottle. If I were the devil, I'd take from those who have and give to those who wanted until I had killed the incentive of the ambitious. And what'll you bet? I couldn't get whole states to promote gambling as the way to get rich. I would caution against extremes in hard work, in patriotism, in moral conduct. I would convince the young that marriage is old-fashioned, that swinging is more fun, that what you see on TV is the way to be. And thus I could undress you in public, and I could lure you into bed with diseases for which there is no cure. In other words, if I were the devil, I'd just keep right on doing what he's doing.